Welcome to another video here on A+ Sim Racing. I'm your host Ken, and on this episode of Praga Hotlaps, we're taking the R1 to Suzuka. This is one of my favorite circuits. It provides good racing opportunities and it's fun to hotlap. Suzuka is a challenging circuit with a lot going on, but it's not challenging to the point where it becomes frustrating, though it does demand patience. For example, going through the S's. If you try and rush, you'll find that the further into the S's you get, the more you'll have to compromise, and overall you'll lose more time than if you approach it patiently, setting the car up for the next turn, keeping in mind what comes next. The hairpin also requires a bit of patience with the Praga R1. It can feel a little bit sluggish if you're taking it in second gear, and if you want to use first gear, then you have to drop your speed down, otherwise the car will spin when you downshift. So you got to have a little bit of patience in the hairpin. Probably second gear would be a bit better if you're not used to driving the Praga R1 and are not familiar with the gap in the power band between first and second gear. So let's get on board the Praga R1 and go for a lap around Suzuka. So here we are, starting our lap at Suzuka. Now for turn 1, you're going to want to look for the concrete patch on the left side, right there. That's where you start turning in, and then when you get to the curbs on the right side, that's where you start braking gently as you go down through the gears, and then you turn in for turn 2, which is kind of like the end of turn 1, up through the gears. And now we go into the S's, modulating the throttle as we go and only using a touch of brake to load up the front tires before we go into the S's. Now through this section you always want to compromise the exit of the turn you're in to get a good entry for the next one, and this is the long left-hander going uphill that is your target to get the best exit from the S's. Next we have a short braking zone. Brake just before the 50 board there and turn into the Degners 1 and then 2. Don't run wide between the two of them, and don't use too much of the inside curb there for Degner 2. And now for the hairpin. After we turn in, you're going to start braking as the curb ends there. I think it's better to take the hairpin in second gear in the Praga because you can carry more speed through the turn and you don't have to risk getting the car spinning if you're not going slow enough to use first gear. Using first gear might help you get a better exit from the hairpin, but second gear helps you have more speed through the turn, so it's a trade-off. This bit between the hairpin and spoon is all flat out. For spoon, you want to start braking when you get to that green patch on the right, turn it in and try and carry as much speed as you can without running wide. And now for the exit of spoon, you just need to know that the curb is going to be there because you can't see it over the crest of the hill as you're coming through spoon. On the back straight here, just try and take the shortest line that you can while keeping the throttle pinned. When this turn is 130R, start turning in at just after the 50 board, keep it flat, you got plenty of aero grip. Now for the hairpin, you brake just about the 100 meter board, get it down to second gear, turn it in and try and line up the best exit you can because we've got the long start-finish straight. If you're doing a hot lap or a qualifying lap, you want to try and keep the car to the inside to shorten the line a little bit. If you're doing a race, then you want to gradually get your way back over to the left. Now let's take a look at that lap from the chase cam and get a better perspective. As you approach turn 1, look for the service road, the concrete on the left. That's where you turn in. Before braking, brake when you start hitting the curb on the inside. Only a little bit of brake as you go down through the gears and back on the throttle, keeping it steady as you come out of the turn. Now we approach the S's. You always want to consider what is coming next, so instead of running to the left there, I keep it to the right to open up the turn here. And again, move over to the left if you can before you turn right here. And this is the final part where you want to get the best exit to come up this hill. Keep it flat if you can. If you need to lift, then you probably didn't approach it right, so practice that. Next, we brake at the 50 board for Degner 1 and use a bit of the curb on the exit. Try not to use too much curb on the inside of Degner 2. Of course, trying to line up a good exit on Degner 2 because we have this bit of a straight before we approach the hairpin. And then we start braking after the curb ends when you get the car straight. Shift down and then get the car turned in, probably staying in second gear. Remember, the first gear is going to have a bit of a snap if you're not going slow enough, so second gear allows you to avoid that and carry more speed through. Now as we approach spoon, You start slowing down as you hit that green strip on the right, get it turned in, down through the gears. Careful not to run wide. You can use a bit of the curb, just not too much. And this exit from Spoon is blind because of the crest of the hill, so you can get a better view from the chase cam, and you can see that it is definitely there, and you know what angle you need to hit it and stay on the throttle. Now we go down to the end of the straight where we hit 130R. You're turning in after the 50 board on the right. You can use some of the curb on the exit, but not too much. For the chicane, you start braking when you hit the 100 board, down to second gear, get it turned in, using the curbs to try and shorten the length of the chicane, keeping it nice and tight here because it is a hot lap. If you are racing, you'd want to carry it over to the left and get ready for turn 1, or stay to the inside if you're being defensive. If that's the case, then you want to push your opponent over to the outside to try and open up turn 1 as much as you can. And that is more or less how you lap Suzuka with the Praga R1. And if you follow those directions, you should be able to get under 2 minutes. My lap was a 1:59.7. There were a few small mistakes where I could have gained another couple of tenths here and there. So if I really focused and put some time into it, I might be able to get 1:58.9. But that would be a pretty big effort. 1:59.5 is definitely feasible, I think, without too much effort. Anyway, I hope you find this useful in your guide to lapping Suzuka with the Praga R1. Hope you enjoyed this video and this series. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.